Wait, Mark Zuckerberg, the reigning shadow ban and censorship king, is a free speech champion now?
Hey everyone. I want to talk about something important today because it's time to get back to our roots around free expression on Facebook and Instagram.
Google searches for how to cancel and delete Facebook, Instagram, and Threads accounts have seen explosive rises in the US since Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg announced that the company will end its third-party fact-checking system, loosen content moderation policies, and roll back previous limits to the amount of political content in user feeds. Now, this all may sound good to those who despise censorship in any form, but never forget that one of the biggest threats to free speech in the last 8 or 9 years has been Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook. And the censorship shifted into hyperdrive in 2020 with the advent of the mRNA jabberino. This censorship and deplatforming campaign was carried out largely through the fact checkers over the last couple years. And some of those fact checkers on mega platforms like Twitter, we now know were ex-employees of some of the alphabet soup agencies. I mean, can you say conflict of interest? Curiously, after the November election results, information oligarchs and technocrats like Zuckerberg, Musk, and Google's Sergey Brin have completed pilgrimages to Florida to polish and slobber on the ring of the incoming president. They moved like greased lightning once they knew that the new president of the United States would be Donald J. Trump. First, you had the courtesy visits to Mar-a-Lago, then the donations, then the rearranging of the boards and top executive teams, and as we saw this week, a stream of announcements about revised policies and processes to be more aligned with the thinking of the incoming administration. Maybe people should just stop pretending that Meta's decision to think again about its approach to content moderation and fact-checking was anything other than political. Trump is surrounded by people who think of themselves as free speech absolutists. People like Zion Musk claim to believe that many, if not most, attempts to temper words, pictures, or videos on social media amount to politically motivated censorship. But then Musk turns around and demonetizes, deboosts, and suspends accounts that take a different view on, say, H-1B visas and Israel. And so barely 2 weeks before Trump takes office, Zuckerberg recorded a video that kind of felt like it was intended for an audience of one. If it wasn't clear, you are not that one. To add insult to injury, as if to quietly flaunt his elitist class status, while making the video, Mark reportedly wore a watch that cost 2 or 3 times the average American home. But I'm sure this billionaire elitist and this billionaire elitist and this one are totally on your side.
I started building social media to give people a voice. I gave a speech at Georgetown 5 years ago about the importance of protecting free expression, and I still believe this today. But a lot has happened over the last several years. There's been widespread debate about potential harms from online content. Governments and legacy media have pushed to censor more and more. A lot of this is clearly political, but there's also a lot of legitimately bad stuff out there. Drugs, terrorism, child exploitation. These are things that we take very seriously, and I want to make sure that we handle responsibly. So we built a lot of complex systems to moderate content. But the problem with complex systems is they make mistakes. Even if they accidentally censor just 1% of posts, that's millions of people. And we've reached a point where it's just too many mistakes and too much censorship. The recent elections also feel like a cultural tipping point towards once again prioritizing speech. So we're going to get back to our roots and focus on reducing mistakes, simplifying our policies, and restoring free expression on our platforms. More specifically, here's what we're going to do. First, we're going to get rid of fact checkers and replace them with community notes similar to X, starting in the US. After Trump first got elected in 2016, the legacy media wrote nonstop about how misinformation was a threat to democracy. We tried in good faith to address those concerns without becoming the arbiters of truth. But the fact-checkers have just been too politically biased and have destroyed more trust than they've created, especially in the US. So over the next couple of months, we're going to phase in a more comprehensive community notes system. Second, we're going to simplify our content policies and get rid of a bunch of restrictions on topics like immigration and gender that are just out of touch with mainstream discourse. What started as a movement to be more inclusive has increasingly been used to shut down opinions and shut out people with different ideas, and it's gone too far. So I want to make sure that people can share their beliefs and experiences on our platforms. Third, we're changing how we enforce our policies to reduce the mistakes that account for the vast majority of censorship on our platforms. We used to have filters that scanned for any policy violation. Now, we're going to focus those filters on tackling illegal and high-severity violations. And for lower severity violations, we're going to rely on someone reporting an issue before we take action. The problem is that the filters make mistakes, and they take down a lot of content that they shouldn't. So by dialing them back, we're going to dramatically reduce the amount of censorship on our platforms. We're also going to tune our content filters to require much higher confidence before taking down content. The reality is that this is a trade-off. It means we're going to catch less bad stuff, but we'll also reduce the number of innocent people's posts and accounts that we accidentally take down. Fourth, we're bringing back civic content. For a while, the community asked to see less politics because it was making people stressed. So we stopped recommending these posts. But it feels like we're in a new era now, and we're starting to get feedback that people want to see this content again. So we're going to start phasing this back into Facebook, Instagram, and Threads while working to keep the communities friendly and positive. Fifth, we're going to move our trust and safety and content moderation teams out of California, and our US-based content review is going to be based in Texas. As we work to promote free expression, I think that it will help us build trust to do this work in places where there is less concern about the bias of our teams. Finally, we're going to work with President Trump to push back on governments around the world that are going after American companies and pushing to censor more. The US has the strongest constitutional protections for free expression in the world. Europe has an ever-increasing number of laws institutionalizing censorship and making it difficult to build anything innovative there. Latin American countries have secret courts that can order companies to quietly take things down. China has censored our apps from even working in the country. The only way that we can push back on this global trend is with the support of the US government. And that's why it's been so difficult over the past 4 years when even the US government has pushed for censorship. By going after us and other American companies, it has emboldened other governments to go even further. But now we have the opportunity to restore free expression, and I am excited to take it. It'll take time to get this right, and these are complex systems. They're never going to be perfect. There's also a lot of illegal stuff that we still need to work very hard to remove. But the bottom line is that after years of having our content moderation work focus primarily on removing content, it is time to focus on reducing mistakes, simplifying our systems, and getting back to our roots about giving people voice. I'm looking forward to this next chapter. Stay good out there, and more to come soon.
At first glance, the notion of community moderation seems attractive, but there's a problem. In the real world of social media, bad actors, often state actors, have both the money and the technical resources to create armies of bots to promote or to suppress a particular idea or information flow. And that clearly suggests that in the marketplace of information and ideas, it's those with resources who will set the narrative. To believe that the aggregate of individual users will moderate extremist content is just fiction. The question is, who's qualified to even arbitrate content? Who has the final say in what should be posted and seen or deboosted, shadow banned, or eliminated? Critics see Zuckerberg's move as an attempt to cater to the incoming Trump administration and avoid political retaliation. suggesting the consequences of Meta's new policies could have serious implications for the types of posts, hateful and violent speech, and misinformation that can spread even faster than they already do across Meta's platforms. And the backlash has been swift. Interest in searches related to getting off Meta platforms soared this week, particularly in the last 2 days. Google searches for terms like how to permanently delete Facebook hit a maximum score of 100. That's the highest level of interest possible on Google Trends. And according to Google Trends, related searches like how to delete all photos on Facebook, alternative to Facebook, how to quit Facebook, how to delete Threads accounts, and how to delete Instagram accounts without logging in have become breakout searches, with popularity suddenly increasing by over 5,000% compared to previous periods. And this explosive growth seems to underscore a recoil against Meta's decision to roll back protections against what people call hateful speech and inflammatory political content. Seems like these people want Facebook to continue protecting them with fresh rounds of censorship. Citing a report by the Wall Street Journal, the New York Post claims that Zuckerberg scrapped Meta's censorship policies after his own Facebook post in 2023 about a martial arts-related knee injury got demoted by algorithms that were designed to curb misinformation, squelching traffic and rendering it a flop. In November 2023, the Meta CEO posted a photo of himself in a hospital bed following surgery to repair a torn anterior cruciate ligament in his left knee, an injury that he sustained while training for a Brazilian jiu-jitsu tournament. The post writes, "To Zuckerberg's dismay, the post drew anemic attention. According to the Journal, he investigated and learned that Facebook software engineers had tweaked the algorithm to limit the spread of health-related content due to fears that it included false information." An angry Zuckerberg demanded a probe that, quote, snowballed into a full-scale review of the company's algorithmic demotions to determine whether it was the cause of overreach. But Meta spokesperson Andy Stone told the Journal that Zuckerberg's shift toward free speech was based on his long-held beliefs and downplayed Zuckerberg's gripe about his own post. Zuckerberg on Tuesday announced that Meta would end its partnership with third-party fact-checkers and institute a community notes model similar to that of Elon Musk's social media platform X. Zuckerberg admitted that his tech company had engaged in, quote, too much censorship, possibly alluding to the platform's move to limit the sharing of the post coverage of the Hunter Biden laptop scandal, as well as pressure from the Biden administration to crack down on COVID-19 84 related misinformation. Zuckerberg said in the video, "We're going to get back to our roots and focus on reducing mistakes, simplifying our policies, and restoring free expression on our platforms." As would be expected, the move was met with consternation and criticism from Meta employees who complained that it would lead to rampant misinformation across Meta platforms, Facebook, Instagram, and Threads. The reversal will also include moving Meta's content moderation team from Deep Blue, California to right-leaning Texas in order to insulate the group from cultural bias, a move that looked like another page out of Musk's playbook, as if there aren't any biased Texans like there are biased Californians. Zuckerberg's company also announced last week that it would add Ultimate Fighting Championship president Dana White, who's a supporter of President-elect Donald Trump, and 2 others to the board of directors. Meta has also sought to reorient itself politically by naming Joel Kaplan as Chief Global Affairs Officer. Kaplan, who once served as Deputy Chief of Staff for George W. Bush, replaces Nick Clegg, who once headed the UK's Liberal Democrat Party. At a press conference hours after Zuckerberg posted the video on Tuesday, Trump praised the changes, saying, I think they've come a long way, Meta. When asked if he believed Zuckerberg made the changes in response to threats the incoming president has made, Trump simply responded, probably. Meta is among several tech companies that sure look like they're working to get in Trump's good graces before he takes office later this month. Meta and Amazon each donated $1 million to Trump's inauguration fund in December, and Zuckerberg had dinner with Trump at his Mar-a-Lago club in Florida. Also, Amazon announced a documentary on incoming First Lady Melania Trump. Jeff Bezos blocked the editorial board of his newspaper, The Washington Post, from endorsing Trump's opponent, Vice President Camel Toe Harris, just before the election. So what do you think is really going on here? All the billionaire technocrats and information oligarchs seem to be coming in line under Trump. Why is that? Do you think any of these people care about free speech? Do any of them care about freedom for the rest of us at all? What's really going on? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. If you like this content, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification icon, give this video a like, and share it with everybody you know. Also, take a look at some of my other videos that you may have missed. Keep your ears to the railroad tracks, because I'm telling you, a train is coming. I'll see you in the next video.